I'm going to talk a little bit about our programs, what's been a few updates, what's happening with the atrium. Andrew is going to talk about the Carbon Zero Art Contest for youth. Jason Blackwell is from the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts and is going to talk about a really cool grant that is statewide for you guys. And Megan and Melissa from the city are here to talk about the Guaranteed Basic Income Program and other grants that I heard them briefly talking about, but I still don't know. It's kind of secretive, so I'm excited to hear about that. And the pictures that you see here are from our Sustainable Santa project that we had, which was Santa was here to let us know that the North Pole is melting. We kind of combined sustainability with our holiday stuff. It was super fun. Our story. So just a little bit, if you don't know much, if this is your first Creative Economy meeting, welcome. My name is Shira. I am the founder of the Atrium. We're a creative innovation center for sustainability. We're all about community. We're multidisciplinary creatives with a passion for community, kindness, and equity, principled with collaboration over competition. Sustainability, we are working towards developing sustainable consumer alternatives and services because it's a finite planet and we need to take care of it so it can take care of us. Economy, we bridge the gaps between siloed industries to bring together creatives, inventors, entrepreneurs to change the linear economy into a circular one. We elevate our creative community to build a sustainable future. That's what we do. What is a circular economy? If you don't know, that's okay. A circular economy means we're on a linear economy right now. That means we extract, use, and dispose. And that will mean that we will have a deficit here and a heap of trash on the other side. And that is not good because our planet is not, it's a finite planet and we can't do that indefinitely. So this is a really cool illustration that I thought that really simply describes what circular economy is. And it's pretty much smart design. And that's where creatives come in because we need to create a new way for us to work, a new way of systems and a new way for products. So we're consistently reusing our products and we're not throwing away things and wasting resources, really. So just a little bit about the Atrium in 2021, we hosted 56 events last year, even though it was kind of a year, we grew. We hired 6 artistic staff members with strong roots in Sacramento, all with diverse, different backgrounds. These are our wonderful people here, and Nicole is with us today. She's our gallery manager, so she'll be helping us with the Q&A and chat and everything. She's awesome. And what else? Oh yeah, our creative community. So last year we paid $92,085 to our creative community. And that was 48% of our total revenue for that year. And last year, surprisingly, we were 90% of our revenue was earned income. So we're kind of almost completely sustainable ourselves as a nonprofit. So that's wonderful. And then I'm going to go take it to soon. I'm going to give it to Andrew here in a second. But what I do want to do is go into here. If you don't know the Atrium, we have a bunch of programs. We have a co-working lab. We have Sacramento.shop, which is a retail store and an e-commerce store where we sell Sacramento-made products. They are eco-friendly and circular in nature. So if this is something of interest, you make stuff and it's cool and eco-friendly. Or even if it's not, sign up to sell because we meet with everybody and our goal is to help you get there to sustainability. So we do a meeting with you guys, sit down and figure out how can we help you guys elevate your brand, elevate what you guys are making and help make it more sustainable. So just go to Sacramento.shop under the programs and you'll be able to sign up. There's a black and white form there. Resources. This is really cool and I really recommend you guys use this more. We place here all kinds of grants that are happening. I try to update this as much as possible, but there are grants here. You've got a pitch. We've got California Arts Council that's got some grants happening. That's ending March 10th, if I'm not sick. We've got ongoing grants. So use this to find different grants or opportunities that are happening. What else do we have? Creative Economy Meetings. This page here, this is where We're going to be hosting all our events. So all our previous events will be hosted here, archived with the chat. So you know that. TV series production, we are working on that. We have a cool update on that. We have to pivot. We're going to be making our TV series that we were planning to do like individual little snippets. We're pivoting. We're making this we're making this a 4K production. We're kind of making this more of a training. We learned that what we got in our submissions was there was a gap in media production skills. And so we took it upon ourselves to change that. So we're producing the TV series to help educate more our community on media production skills. And we have 4K cameras that are Netflix approved. And we'll be posting more about that. So make sure you get our emails. Eco Art Market, we will be hosting this between spring and fall. We're going to collaborate with the California State Railroad Museum Foundation. We're collaborating with them. So as soon as the trains start running here in Old Sacramento, we're going to start our market. So look out for an email on that when that gets started. Our Recycle Challenge is our art installation that educates on recycling, and advocacy is a link that you can go to, because if you have an issue, you can go and find all the contacts there. So with that, I'm going to bring it back to, let me see here. I'm going to bring it over to Andrew. Andrew.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First off, just a quick little thumbs up. People can hear me okay? Microphone sounds good. Excellent. Good evening. Allow me to just take 1 minute here to introduce myself. My name is Andrew Kehoe. I work for Mayor Darrell Steinberg. I have arts and culture as a portfolio area from a policy perspective. I work with my colleagues, Melissa and Megan, on a regular basis to help them implement things as well. But you know, when it comes to how we approach supporting arts and culture, especially from the mayor's office, I try to exercise the mayor's vision and make sure that happens. And that's come in a myriad of ways. Most recently, it's been the use of federal coronavirus relief funds, CARES Act and ARPA, to the tune of 30 million, which is, as far as I'm aware, is a nation leading amount that has been allocated to the creative economy. So there isn't any other city, at least not as the same size as Sacramento, that has allocated as much as we have at the mayor's direction to the arts and creative economy. So thank you, Shara, for the props there. But today I'm talking about something that's actually much more narrowly focused than that, and that is the Carbon Zero Art Contest. This contest is developed in partnership with SMUD and the Office of Climate Action at the City of Sacramento and the Mayor's Office. It was actually led by youth internally. They designed and scoped out the entire project as interns. And it's really an opportunity for Sacramento youth to let their imagination show us adults how we can embrace solutions for climate change and crystallize why we're fighting for a more sustainable future. We always intend to elevate youth perspective, and we think this contest does that in the right way, because we're actually rewarding them for their effort and thanking them for their insight. I'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts now. It's open to artists, creators, anybody with just like a drive to maybe sketch between ages 14 and 24. As you can see, we've broken them out into age brackets. So like 14 and 15 will get a prize, 16 to 18 will earn a prize, and 19 to 24 will earn a prize. And there will be some honorable mentions and second place prizes in each of those categories as well. The really important thing here to understand is that the entries must promote sustainability and demonstrate the need to reach carbon neutrality, or demonstrate the need to reach carbon neutrality, also known as carbon zero, and help others understand the urgency of the climate disaster that we're in right now. The winners will be selected on the criteria of relevance to the topic, overall aesthetic appeal, and their creativity for their approach. And the panel will have a working artist, a high school teacher, and a climate action lead here at the city, a SMUD art director, and I believe we have one other, a youth commissioner. So somebody from our Sacramento Youth Commission will also be on the review panel. Finally, the winning pieces will also be featured in an online gallery for as long as we can keep it up at engagesac.org. So I'll drop the link to our website in there in the chat in a moment. The last thing I want to point out here is that the submissions says right there on the flyer are ending February 24th. That's next week. Based on some feedback, and we've been promoting the heck out of this thing, but schools in particular are facing a lot of challenges these days, and so we're actually extending the deadline through the end of March. We haven't laid on a specific day, but it will likely be the last week of March. So you can cross out that February 24th, and we're going to send out everyone an updated flyer. So if you're on Shira's email list, you'll get it through her eventually, or you get it from the Office of Arts and Culture if you're on their email list, or you can sign up for the mayor's email list and you can get it from us when that goes back out. Lots of email lists for you to sign up for. Last thing, I'll just put a link to the actual art contest in the chat. I see that there is one question in there. I didn't look at it yet.
Yes, and the question is, why is the age level so high? I have a 12-year-old wanting to enter pieces.
That's a great question. So partially because we wanted to structure this around the age group that also coordinates with the Youth Commission, and that age group starts at 14. The other thing is we only had so much money, and in order to arrange the prize categories and try to give out as much money and opportunity as we could, we were sort of limited to those age brackets. At least that's the way we thought about it when we designed it, but I definitely appreciate that. And what I'm really hoping is that if this thing goes gangbusters and it's just an amazing art thing that we can have online, that we can do more of these in the future. It'll show SMUD and our climate action team that our kids mean business, and we know they do. We just need them to know about this so they can submit a piece.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. I am going to stop sharing right now, so that way you get to see everybody's faces here. Lovely. I'm going to pass it on to Jason now. Jason, would you like to take the stage?
Sure. Thank you for that. Hi, my name is Jason Blackwell. He, him, his pronouns, and I am the Director of Community Investment at YBCA, or Yorba Buena Center for the Arts in San Francisco, California. I was speaking to Melissa a little bit earlier this week, and she asked me to come join to talk about this granting opportunity, this relief effort that is in partnership with the California Arts Council that we at YBCA will be administering this April. So it is the California Relief Fund for Artists and Cultural Practitioners. The aim of this fund is to provide one-time only $1,000 relief grant to artists across the state of California. We're looking to up to 1,900 artists across the state in order to focus in on our priority areas. Let me read those out so I can say them directly as they are, so I don't get any confusion around that. This fund will prioritize artists whose artistic practice is deeply rooted in historically marginalized communities. These prioritized communities include American Indian and Alaskan Native, Asian and Asian American, Black and African American, disabled, immigrant, Indigenous and Indigenia, Latinx, LGBTQIAS2+, Manasa, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander, refugee, and women. So the idea is for us to have this relief fund available again for every artist to be able to apply across the state. The way that we're planning on designing this to make sure that the application is the most accessible and that we have the reach of, and our outreach strategy reaches all of these communities that we intend to reach. We are actually looking for partners and community partners across the state to engage with us in a community listening process in March. We're going to have a bare bones structure of the application, the website, as well as the eligibility and FAQ process. And we want to look that over with these community partners to make sure that it allows for everyone within those priority areas to feel engaged and included in this application process. But it also allows us to make sure that you know what we're looking for and how to get that out to your people. So I'm going to drop our email in the chat. This California Relief Fund for Artists and our Cultural Practitioners, and that's the email if you are interested, and if you are part of an organization, if you're part of advocacy group or affinity group that is interested in joining us in these community listening sessions as we sculpt the application and the eligibility for this program. Please reach out to us so we can get you on that list so you can sign up for one of these listening sessions. The program itself, after the listening sessions and after all the input and feedback has been incorporated into the application, the website, as well as the eligibility criteria, will be open from April 25th to May 25th. So it'll be open for 1 month. And then after that, we will go through a vetting process, screening process to make sure that the people that did apply are residents of California and also are professional artists. And then most likely, depending upon the amount of people who apply, there will be a prioritization and a lottery system that's initiated or enacted to get those funds out to the artists. So again, it'll be a program in partnership with the California Arts Council, in which we're intending to have a good sweep across the state, around 1,900 artists, and it'll be a $1,000 one-time payment. If you have any questions, please email me, or I think Shira's going to say something.
Yes. So one is, would you be able to put the link in the chat for us for people to go to where they can get more information?
So the website itself is still under construction.
Okay.
It is part of the toolkit or the materials that we're going to be vetting with through the community listening sessions. If you have any other questions about like the program or the general idea of the program, you can definitely email this email that I provided within the chat, and I can get back to you, or I'll have someone on my team get back to you. But the website itself is still under construction.
Wicked. Okay, guys. So you guys got an inside email there. Yeah, use it. So we do have a question in the Q&A. Will each county have a set amount of awardees? So LA and San Francisco won't get the majority of funding.
So that's a great question. There is an intent from the CAC for our rural areas and or counties outside of San Diego, San Francisco, LA and the Bay Area, San Francisco particularly, to not be the major hub of where the funding goes to. We are looking to have around 60 to 70% of the funding fall into these priority categories, which are the ones that I listed above, as well as having a second level of prioritization that comes around county and zip code to try to pull some of the funding and availability out to other counties. So there will be some intentionality around that. Yes.
Cool. Any other questions? I don't see in the Q&A. When will the application process begin?
The application should be available the second to last week of April, so around April 25th.
Perfect. Awesome. Jason, thank you. Do you mind staying on for the rest of the meeting? So that way, if they have questions or other people kind of think of questions. Wonderful.
Yes. I might take my camera off, but I'll be here.
Wicked. Thank you so much. All right, now I'm going to hand it off. I'm going to go over to Megan and Melissa. I'm giving you the stage right now because there's a lot going on. Give it to us.
All right, I think I'm going to start and then Megan's going to follow up. I'm going to talk to you about one program and then she's going to talk to you about a couple of other programs that we're really excited about. So hi, everybody. It's great to see familiar and new faces at these meetings, or names. I don't see your faces, but I see your names. And so hello to everybody. I get excited when I see people I know here. So thank you for inviting us here today to talk about these grant programs for artists and creatives. And we are excited to be launching programs that directly support the creative economy at its most fundamental level, which is the individual. So the program that I'm going to be talking about is called Seeding Creativity, seed like the seed in the ground, which we're offering as a sub-granting program from the National Endowment for the Arts Rescue Plan grants to local arts agency. So as the local arts agency for Sacramento County, our office applied for and was awarded funds to distribute to individual artists. And in this program, we plan to award grants in the amount of $10,000 each to up to 45 artists. So here are the parameters of the program. The NEA allows us to make direct awards to individuals for artist stipends to support the services they provide for specific programs and activities. So these activities could include presentations, workshops, research, and or the creation of artwork with tangible outcomes. So that's an important piece of it. There has to be a tangible outcome at the end of the program. It's important to note it's considered a stipend to the artist for the work that's undertaken. So it's not funding for financial hardship. So it would not support your rent or any other assistance that isn't directly related to your creation or the presentation of the work. So it's a little bit different than the CARES funding might have been, or other relief funding programs. And we're still in the process of working on the guidelines now, and there are specific things that we're going to need to add in the guidelines that are part of the NEA requirements and the ARPA requirements about eligibility, risk, and reporting. But our plan is to release, hopefully, the guidelines sometime in March. And as there may be other factors that might make an applicant ineligible, I really encourage everybody to read the guidelines when they do come out, and just read them carefully to make sure that you're eligible. But here is what we do know. Because it's a stipend for newly generated work, we believe that this grant might be best for originating artists. So writers, poets, playwrights, composers, choreographers, painters, sculptors, filmmakers, etc. This is probably the category that would make you most eligible for this particular grant. And Megan's going to talk about a grant that might be more suitable for other types of creatives and artists. Our outcome goals are very broad. We're looking for personal growth in the artist's creative practice and basic just development of the creative sector. And the grant is intended for both up-and-coming artists and mid-career artists. We will probably require a proven 3-year history of artistic work, but we're really looking for a diversity of experience among the artists and creatives. And we're going to be pretty specific about eligible disciplines, but they're broad. We're looking for artists who work in visual arts, craft, design, media, performing, and literary arts. And the grants will be awarded in one of 4 pathways. And those pathways are research, social impact, performance or presentation, or creation. So we'll be asking you in the application to choose the pathway that you want to be pursuing, and the questions in the application will really be related to that pathway. And along with the grant, which we're also excited about, is going to be a year of mentorship with practicing artists who are going to help you with the areas that you're most interested in, that have been most requested by artists. So these could be around entrepreneurship, leveraging resources, deepening your collaborations in the community, and developing work samples, media samples, portfolios, work statements. So anything that really helps you move your career forward or just helps you on your path. And we'll also be establishing cohorts for learning and for sharing. So not quite sure how we're going to divide up the cohorts, but they're going to be around, they might be around interest area or where you are in your career, but we will create learning and sharing cohorts. And part of the ability of the cohorts is to do the kind of reporting that we always know we need to do and feels really difficult when we have to put it at the end of the process. But we're going to try to build the reporting in as part of a sharing cohort, so that you're actually going to have your work supported. We have to make sure that you finish your work, because that's one really important NEA requirement, is at the end of the grant process, a piece of work must be completed. That's the non-negotiable, but we're also going to have support to make sure that you have help through the process to make sure that your project's completed. So those are the big things. As soon as we're ready to publish the guidelines, we're going to do a big thorough push to get the information out into the community. But we have you here today, so we hope you're just going to share the news with all of your friends and associates and everybody you know that may be an artist and would be eligible to apply for this kind of grant. We really want to get it out to as many people as possible. And it's important to note it's a county-wide grant too, so it's not just for the city of Sacramento. The good thing is this is available for anybody who lives and works in Sacramento County. So that also will include a lot more creatives than we're often able to support. So we think it's a really good opportunity. It's just one of many, and Megan's going to talk about more, but we think this is a great path for artists who just want to be supported to create some work in the next year and have that money just go to them for the creation of that work. So that's it. So I will take any questions, or you can wait till the end and ask us all together. So thanks.
Melissa, there were some questions in the chat before I start. Maybe if I can hit some of those for you. You did clarify that it's a Sacramento County residency.
Yep.
And that was intentional on the part, because we know we were able to get a lot of individual artist support out in the city of Sacramento through the CARES funds, but not through the county. And we know folks are out there. So we're excited about that opportunity. And I will just add, because there's a question about where's the information going to be on the website and et cetera. The arts.cityofsacramento.org website is a work in progress, but we've done something with the grants section of it up on the leader line. You can just go rate to grants, and you can check on, whether it's for-profit creative businesses, for individual artists, for creative projects, for nonprofit arts and cultural organizations, and then you find what applies to you. Click on that, and then all the information will be there. So lots more of marketing work to do, but we're really trying to put that and make that a little bit more user-friendly. A lot of work to be done there.
We'll share that too on our website. So if you go to our resources pages, we will post it too. So you will find it either, through the city or us.
So Melissa, it looks like there's a question here. Any possibility for arts education? So I don't know, can you speak to the teaching artist element of this?
Again, it's really going to have to be a work created. So you could become creative with that idea as long as something is done. So we said the pathways are research, social practice, and creation and presentation. If that were something that you were going to do, I would say publicly, we'd probably have to talk about it. I don't think we've got the nuances of all the guidelines. So if you're talking around education in a school, we might just have to really we have to dig a little bit deeper to talk about that. But any kind of, if it was working with youth and doing some kind of public presentation or creating a work that was specific for youth, I think we could look at that. Definitely. We want you to be creative with your applications. And, we're still talking about the criteria, but we talked about originality as being a really important element when we're looking at hundreds of applications. How does a panel really look at this and hone it down? And having applications where the idea is really original and can really have a strong impact in the community is really important to us. So we'll definitely have more listening sessions, and we'll be doing workshops to talk about, different prospects and different ideas. So more will happen in the next month. So it's probably going to come out quickly, and there'll be sort of a flurry of activity, but we'll want to make sure that it's also open long enough so that everybody that needs to hear about it and learn about it can, that we're not just losing people because we're acting too quickly. There's always that push and pull between wanting to get that money out as fast as possible and not wanting to lose people along the way. So we have to find that good mix.
Awesome.
There's another question here, Melissa, about whether or not it's only available for individual artists.
This one is.
Or are collaborations allowed?
This is individuals only.
And then there's also a question about the deadline for the grant, which we don't have one yet.
We don't, but again, we're going to try to give you as much time as possible, and we're going to try to make it as clean and simple of an application as possible, because we don't want to burden you with the extra work. We just need as much information as we need to go through the process.
And then it looks like, could the work possibly be completed this year?
Yeah, I mean, if you can complete the work quickly, there's no limit. It will be up to a year's period that you'll have to work on it. But if you complete the work and have the project done in a matter of months, then the project is complete.
And then there's another one. Is the social option social impact, social justice, or social benefit?
I think we called it social impact, but wait till the guidelines come out and we'll have more information for you then. We'll try to clarify it at that point.
So lots more to discuss on this point, and we just wanted to start to get the word out about what's coming to give people an opportunity to be prepared, and also just to start thinking about, your work samples. That's going to be a key piece of it. Good opportunity to start, making sure you've got good photography if you need be, and your recordings. Just doesn't hurt to start working on it now. Andrew, I saw that you.
There's one more question in the chat rather than in the Q&A there from Mark. It says, would creating a virtual gallery or museum to showcase an artist and their work qualify for this funding?
I think that sounds like it fits right now, sort of the broad categories, and we haven't really gone too deep, which is why the guidelines aren't out yet. But that would fit under the category of presentation. So if someone were curating, again, you've got to create an idea and a project which is going to be, competitive as we move forward. But that definitely sounds like something that could be doable.
Awesome. So I'll jump in. Thanks, Melissa, for
Sure.
doing the heavy lead on that, and also taking that. Melissa put a lot of work in to get that application into the National Endowment for the Arts and help make it competitive. And we were one of a few to actually get $500,000 around the country. So we're very proud of that. I'm very proud of the time. Yeah, right. Very proud of Melissa for putting in that work way back in August to get that together, and really excited that we won it. More to come on that front, because we do have lots of opportunities to apply for local sub-granting, and that's, one way to get dollars to the community. So my job is to talk a little bit about just where we're headed on. I'd like to give big picture on American Rescue Plan Act dollars for creative economy, and within that, the guaranteed basic income model, and give you some thoughts about why we got to that one, why we were thinking about that in terms of program design. And Andrew can certainly jump in at any point in terms of how we got here. But in September of 2021, City Council adopted a framework for the deployment of American Rescue Plan Act dollars, which included $10 million for the creative economy and tourism as part of it. Staff was then tasked with taking that framework and putting it within a programmatic approach for program delivery for the various constituencies. And we have arts and cultural nonprofits that we know are facing a lot right now and just trying to hang on as things change. I just saw an article yesterday that Capstage retweeted from the San Francisco Chronicle about what people are facing with the mask mandates and what it's like to be a front of house worker in a theater right now with dealing with all of that. So we know a lot of the climate that's sitting out there. So we know arts and cultural nonprofits are really important as a part of that. We know for-profit creative businesses are really critical too, and wanted to be able to establish a model to support that, and also individual artists. I think many of you who know me and know that I believe that individual artists are the heartbeat of the creative sector, and are therefore worthy of investment and contributing significantly both to the creative economy and to our broader communities on an ongoing basis. And I will just say, we know that individuals have been hit hard by the pandemic. My brother is a musician and a K-8 music educator, so I will just say to you, we know that these people are working, you all are working a minimum of 3 jobs in addition to your artistic practice. You're struggling with time poverty, limiting your ability to invest in your own creative production, growth, and development, right? We know that, you're hard at work. We know there's very little safety net. We know artists are regularly asked to donate their work in exchange for exposure. And we know that pay for gigs can really vary depending upon what you're doing. And so all of those issues are big things that we know everybody is contending with: stagnation in pay, royalties from streaming, resulting in, just not getting what you need. We know that. We also know that artists are so critical to our communities. They've been second responders throughout the pandemic. You've provided all sorts of content through your images, your photos, your videos, your music, your writing. All of that has helped a lot of us in our communities really come together and really survive what has been a very difficult time. And for a lot of you, provided that for no compensation and no cost to community members. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that and say how important and valuable that was. We know you're providing content for our community's galleries. You're shaping and programming our community gathering spaces, and you're forming the basis of our arts education workforce. All of those things that we benefit your contributions every day. So in acknowledgement of that, we thought, hey, we need to approach this more from a solidarity perspective. Many in our field are discussing this nationwide, the idea of making sure that we are supporting people in solidarity, not charity, right? Investing in creating a stable base. And that's where we came to in terms of trying to put something together to support individual artists. We know that it's a tough time out there right now. We know we want people to be able to continue to do this work. We know we want to attract and retain. We know we want to retain the talent that we have here right now, particularly as the costs are rising and particularly as people are thinking like, hey, do I go somewhere else? Like, can I live there more affordably and continue to pursue my practice? That's not lost. The Creative Edge Plan had an explicit goal of financial support and professional development for individual artists. Corn center that. We think the GBI, which I'll talk about in a second, really reflects the contributions that artists make within the creative economy and responds to the forces that work on you now. And our idea here is that it provides a stable base of support while the economy continues to recover. We know it could be a couple of years yet before we get back to what we were experiencing before in the creative economy. And so a stable base of support, so critical for people. So our aims are really to help with that. It's to help you buy back time for creative production and professional development. We get it. We know what you're contributing. We also want to make sure that this support ensures that artists of color continue to stay in our field. We already have an underrepresentation of people of color in the creative economy, period, end of story. And I would hate to see, and we would hate to see, a pandemic result in fewer artists of color being able to operate and the arts can, only the purview of the privileged. That's not okay. People, we need to have a diversity in our field, and that's one piece of the puzzle here. And we want to keep you here. So what's the idea here? So we have, within the overall $10 million framework, it is not $10 million for guaranteed basic income as much as that would be super cool, super cool. It is $2.75 million for the guaranteed basic income model. What would that play out as? So what we're looking at, a lot of guaranteed basic income models, they started around 500. They've been anywhere from 300 to 500 in the ones that have been piloted around the country. Actually, Jason, I see that you're on there. Your Buena Center, I think yours was 1,000, if I'm not mistaken, per month, up or down.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, and it's a no strings attached thing that you would get monthly, payment that you would get monthly. So where we settled in was a $450 per month stipend for 24 months for a minimum of 225 artists. And this would be for the city of Sacramento. In addition to that, we're wanting to craft an array of professional development supports to go along with that. So we're saying a minimum, partly because we have a survey in the field right now, and I'll make sure that we include the link in the chat, because we want to hear from you in terms of what you think would be important. Some of the questions that I'm getting is like, whoa, how are you going to decide on that? Like, how are you going to decide who gets it? And a lot of these guaranteed basic income models, you focus tightly on the eligibility. And then once that eligibility is done, then I think, and Jason, I'll lean to you too, yours was a randomized process at the Yerba Buena Center, correct?
Yes, we did have like a priority around our prioritizing marginalized communities, but outside of that, yes, randomized.
Yeah, so that's how, so we want to, here's the thing. You are the people we're serving. You will be served by this program. You need to have a voice in the process. And that's what's really important to us in achievement of all of our objectives around race and cultural equity, is that we're not designing this in a vacuum. So that's why we put the survey out to gather some information. We're going to close that survey tomorrow. It's pretty quick. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, I'll make sure the link is in the chat, and please make sure that you weigh in. I think last time I checked, we were at over 400 responses. So I'm feeling pretty good. But if your voice is not yet included right now, feel free to, when I put it in the chat, share that. So we could have more artists than 225, depending upon how much gets put in sort of the professional development supports. And we're waiting to kind of hear from you about what you think is most important. What do you need in terms of your development? And yeah, so that's where we're at this. Here's the important thing. The $10 million framework has to be approved by council, and this is a part of it. So the item was originally on just this Tuesday. We continued it to March 1st. So that's when it will be up for consideration for all of the program models that we're discussing through the American Rescue Plan Act. And once that's done, then we can go forward and continue to proceed. But as Melissa noted, the National Endowment for the Arts grant is going to roll first. And so that's an opportunity to you to look at now. We have another program that's forthcoming as well. And this will probably come a little bit later in the summer because we need to find a third-party administrator. We recognize that often working with the city can be challenging. And that's something we're working on. So we're trying to we'll have to identify a third-party administrator to be able to do this and build out, all of the additional support so that we know that that's going to be there. But that's where we're headed. Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, did I hit everything, Melissa? In theory. So you might have a lot of very specific questions.
We do have questions, yeah.
And that's okay. We're just remember that this is first of all, it needs to be approved by council. Second of all, there's going to be some time for us to build out the program design, much like what we're doing with the NEA. There will be plenty of opportunity for people once this gets approved. Andrew, you unmuted.
I did, and I just wanted to make a quick comment about the council approval. As we get closer to March 1st, this is a great time to exercise your right as a constituent and let your council members individually know that you support the framework that Megan described, even if it's just a couple pieces of it or the entire thing. But that really helps. They do pay attention to that sort of thing, and you already have the mayor's back, which is great. He very much supported Megan through this process and included it in the original framework as an idea. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there for everyone.
I want to thank you, Andrew, because I was just about to say, it's like, what can we do? Should we, what can we do to make this happen? Like, what voices need to be raised? I think one beautiful thing about Sacramento is that we are now more connected, all our creatives. And so thank you, Andrew, for that. And I just want to say that, when I think about creatives and you talk about this is, do you remember early in the pandemic and masks were not available anywhere? And if it weren't for like unicorn creatives that knew how to sew, and they sewed for months on end until their fingers bled and did it for free and donated masks for free, we would have been, excuse my French, fucked, because so many people would have been dead had they not had masks. And I'm just saying, so, creatives save lives, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And I know we have other questions, but I just wanted to put that in there, that creatives should be appreciated for all the amazing work that they do. And sometimes it's really hard to put in an Excel spreadsheet all the wonderful things that creatives bring. So I just want to thank you, Megan, and Melissa and Andrew for constantly fighting for this and constantly trying to find ways. And thank you for everybody here. So thank you so much. Okay, so we do have some questions. I know
we do. And I actually, because one of them is from Cruz Naranjo, I want to give a shout out at the moment to our Commissioner Cruz Naranjo, who I just had an opportunity earlier this week because of a commission meeting to be able to see him. And his question was, does professional development include workshops in application preparation for grants? There's a couple of things that we're going to be doing workshops in the lead up to both of these, right? Presumably, but the idea of making sure that people are skilled at establishing applications so that they can be competitive in other processes, not just ours, is also important to us. So I totally see that as a part of professional development that people might be doing, as well as in teaching artistry, as well as in you name it, right? Entrepreneurship, social practice, like all of those things are certainly the types of things, civic practice, all of that, things that people might want to have. You'll have an opportunity to tell us in the survey. We'll know more after that. But the intent is to help people grow and build capacity alongside providing that solidarity support as we get through the pandemic. Right now, Teresa, hey, got your email. Nice to see you. So
the question is, are artists that don't live in the city but work in the city and have an office in the city eligible?
This is a very good question. Right now, I imagine like the starting point for sure will be living in the city on this one, because it's coming from allocated dollars for through the city American Rescue Plan Act thing. That's similar to what would have happened or what did happen with the CARES funding. Estimated time frame where the application process for the basic income program would begin. It's hard to say a little bit at this point. We've got a number of programs that we need to get rolling. We recognize, you know, how kind of critical this is. I don't know, Melissa, like what did we say when we were originally thinking, assuming it gets approved? We've got March, we're getting through the spring to early summer, presumably for individual artist applications. So probably a summer type kickoff, fall type commencement, maybe, if we're staying on target. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's just a lot that has to happen, but I would say summer, fall, yeah.
And then the other question, are there any partners that could or are providing financial support or additional incentives? That is a great question. And I will say that one of the things that we're actively doing and quietly behind the scenes is having conversations with other philanthropic partners about just support for the creative economy. I mean, the public sector is one piece of this puzzle, not the only piece. And really strong, in order to make sure that the sector is supported, is a strong public and private partnership. Really, really key. So we are working hard to establish relationships with other partners inside of the city, but also then partners, other philanthropic partners outside of the city. So all of that is a work in progress. So yeah, I think it's not, did I miss any other questions? Anything pop up in the chat that we didn't get to?
No, one thing I do want to say is that also there are the California Arts Council grants. Check those. I think they're going to be posting those soon about individual artists. So I think we've posted this on our resource page. So if you go to our resource page, that will take you directly to the California Arts Council. So keep an eye on those. I know soon they're going to be releasing some for individual artists, but they do have some for small nonprofits, I think under 250,000. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities that are now and coming and everything. So what I do recommend to all the creatives is get your ducks in a row, meaning, you know, get your paperwork done. And if you guys need help with that, we are here. We have collaborated with the California, California. I'm going to butcher this.
California Capital.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah.
Lifesaver. So anytime artists come to us, you know, and we're trying to help them, we kind of send them over there, and you can become one of their clients. It's free. You have a mentor. They help you set up your business, your taxes, insurance, all that boring stuff that we creatives hate, but we need. They will help you. So it's really good.
So if you don't mind, Jason, am I putting you on the spot if you kind of talk about what you experienced with the GBI program with Yerba Buena, and just at least what you're seeing, like when you kicked yours off, where are you at in it? Any observations?
So at the time, I was at Grants for the Arts for the City and County of San Francisco, so I was not at YBCA when the program took off. The program itself was initially supposed to support 60 artists for 6 months. They ended up getting some additional private capital from Start Small that allowed it to extend it to a full year for 130 artists across the city. I guess the major complication was the timeline. It looks like you guys have a lot more time before it actually launches for it to like be really established. There's understanding of who's going to be able to apply for the grants, where the prioritization is. YBCA didn't have as much leeway up to wanting to get it done within 6 months of like acting on it and starting the first disbursement. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. And so there was a lot of controversy around the first level of how they were prioritizing. Is it going to be merit based? Is it going to be strictly lottery? How do you verify income and artist practice and residency and all those good things like that? But I think if you have a longer enough runway to be able to provide that type of information, and also make sure that those who are applying are well aware of these are the hoops, unfortunately, that you will have to jump through to get to this process, and also knowing that you can't say that I've been here, I'm an artist longer, I've been an artist more, or my art is more important than someone else's that's receiving the grant. So I think that was a lot of the conversation around that. And also make sure that everyone sees themselves in the process. So the second round, which we're going to be launching in a couple of weeks, is really community partner driven. So we're really taking a step back and saying, hey, we have the capacity to administer the program, but we're not going to touch how it's going to be made and who's going to be receiving it. It's really based on the artists in those communities to be like, these people deserve this money for a certain reason or right. So I think we're getting it a lot better. We're getting it right the second time around.
Yeah, and I think that's so well said. And for us, I think we are smack dab in the middle of trying to answer a number of those questions. And so I'm super grateful for everybody who's completed that first survey so far, and helping to get a read, you know, in terms of where people are at this point. I will say around the country, guaranteed basic income programs there's a lot of us who've been doing a lot of work with artists for years and years and years. And increasingly, I mean, the conversation between merit-based and competition-based in the one way versus like recognizing the value that artists have and just saying who's not, you know, and getting that in, it's a huge point of conversation that's going on around the country. I mean, there's like, just recently announced Creative to Rebuild New York is like $125 million pool that they're doing for 27 artists in the state of New York. So there's a lot of folks. Springboard for the Arts has a guaranteed basic income in Minnesota. There's, you know, so there's a lot of us that are really looking at this as a potential strategy. Lastly, I will just present another program that's also likely to roll out sometime in March, and we'll have some programming around that, and that's for creative placemaking projects. We have entered into a partnership with a group called In Our Backyards, also called as IOBI. They worked with Art Place America a number of years ago before Art Place wound down its work to provide support. And what we've created is the Sacramento Arts and Culture Match Fund. And the objective here is really to get money into the hands of people for creative placemaking projects and enliven our neighborhoods at the neighborhood level. So it could be a neighborhood association that's doing something, could be an individual artist that's like, I want to do a couch series in a park. Okay, cool. Or maybe there's some sort of poetry thing that somebody wants to do, or you know, banners and box wraps and all of those kinds of things. So we're just getting this going in terms of the administration. The match fund, it is based on a crowdfunding platform. So there will be capacity building to help people raise funds for their projects, and the city will match up to $15,000 per project. We're going to roll that out over the course of, it's not all going to go at once. So the idea is to roll out a new set of funds, $100,000 each quarter for these kinds of projects. And you know, while $15,000 will be the cap for the match, we know that like small dollars can make a huge difference in our neighborhoods for specific projects. You know, maybe it's like a music series in a park that somebody wants to do, or something like that. We know that our neighborhoods and our communities really need it, and we want to make sure that we're doing that. That will be, if you are, there will be some fiscal sponsorship funds. So if you're not a nonprofit, if you are an individual artist and you're going to be residing in certain areas, which we haven't yet determined what those geographics are going to be, we're going to subsidize the fiscal sponsorship fees there, so that to allow you to be able to use the platform for those projects. Some more information on that coming soon. We're really excited about it and really hoping to expand the reach of our creative activity really deeply in our neighborhoods throughout the city. So lots more to report. And when that comes by, we'll do a separate one about that. But I think it's a good time to be a creative right now.
I love it.
In
Okay,
some
yeah,
ways.
We have one more question. I did want to put this in here. I sit on a couple of commissions now, economic development commissions, policy commissions now, and I recommend artists. I know it doesn't sound good, but it's really important that you get, so you can get that creative bug into everywhere. It doesn't sound fun, but it's really important. So if you get an opportunity to sit on a commission or a board or anything like that, it's really helpful if we get more creatives sitting on these places, because they need creative ideas. They need creatives to come up with really good solutions to stuff. And we need to let them know that creatives are problem solvers. So I just want to put that out there. Please, that's really good. Mark Freeman says, could this funding pay for permits and insurance for filmmakers that are charged by the city's film commission? So there is a grant from the city's film commission that is out right now, Mark. If I'm not mistaken, then it's like a $5,000 grant that covers these permits. Am I correct on that one?
That is correct. The most recent round closed Tuesday. The next round is going to open up in March. And so there'll be a few grants that are made through that to help cover expenses there. So that one's coming soon as well. I would go to filmtech.com and go to the grants page, and that's information available for that.
And it's also on our resource page. So if you go to our resource page, there's also a link to it there.
And yes, it is true. It is true, Mark, the question on the film grants, and I just saw this come through. Hold on.
Yeah, but
in that case, you have to pay first and seek a refund. I would just say with the Arts and Culture Match Fund, the intent is to really fund these kind of creative placemaking related activities, some sort of public thing. The guidelines are still coming out. And so once that comes out, you'll have an opportunity to study that and figure out if that makes sense for this particular project.
All right.
So yeah,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Nope, that's it.
So we're at 6:32. I'm trying to be, conscientious of everybody's time and our wonderful panelists here. So thank you, Megan, Melissa, Andrew, Jason, and thank you, Nicole and Samian. Nicole and Samian are, Nicole is our gallery manager and Samian's our gallery director at the Atrium. So please reach out to them as well. I just want to say thank you so much. Check out our events on our website. We do have all kinds of events where we've collaborated with Capital California, showing all the free webinars on your business, taxes, and all that boring stuff, but it's stuff you got to do. So thank you, everybody. Are there any last questions before we sign off? All right, well, I'll just say good night to everybody and thank you so much and have a wonderful weekend.